Why is there no accountability for Israel or Saudi Arabia for murdering journalists?
Yes, there is Abby Martin. She's speaking to Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Yes, of the Biden administration, and their refusal to talk about the issues that go on with these American journalists that are being murdered, specifically in this case by the Israeli and Saudi governments. Now, Blinken was appearing on this panel at the Summit of the Americans in LA, and their discussion went on, and he was ready to deny and deflect and reject. Let's watch the rest of this.
What about Shireen Akleh? She was murdered by Israeli forces. Right, CNN just agreed to this. These are your two greatest allies in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Israel. They have murdered American journalists and there have been absolutely no repercussions. And you're sitting up here talking about the freedom of press and democracy. The United States is denying sovereignty to tens of millions of people around the world with draconian sanctions for electing leaders that you do not like. Why is there no accountability for Israel or Saudi Arabia for murdering journalists? It is one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a journalist in Palestine.
I deplore the loss of Shireen. She was a remarkable journalist, an American citizen, as you all know. And there too, we're determined to follow the facts and get to the truth of what happened.
Secretary Blinken, with all due respect.
I'm sorry, with respect, they have not yet been established.
Yes, it has.
No, they've not. We were looking for an independent, credible investigation. When that investigation happens, we will follow the facts wherever they lead. It's as straightforward as that. That has not yet happened, but it's something that we very much want to see happen.
There's the beginning of that pushback there from Blinken. When we get to those facts, whenever that investigation happens by someone, I don't know who that's going to be, but when that happens, we're going to get those facts and we're going to give it to you when you stop asking us those questions. So he had that claim that nothing has been happening or nothing has been really figured out yet, but there's some evidence that points the responsibility to the IDF. And they also went to deny that. Israel has changed its story several times though, as they discuss this, ranging from denying the allegations to blaming the killing on stray fire from Palestinian armed fighters to admitting that an Israeli soldier could have mistakenly kind of shot Abu Akleh. So it looks like Shireen was actually intentionally targeted by Israeli forces though, and CNN did a bit of a breakdown to show that. Let's watch that.
The gunfire you hear at the beginning of this clip is key. Eyewitness testimony and audio analysis show these are the shots that kill Abu Akleh. There is a crack and then a pop. The time between these two sounds reveals how far away the gunmen are. This indicates a distance of between 177 and 197 meters, according to forensic audio analyst Rob Mayer. The tree next to where Abu Akleh was shot is also a crucial piece of evidence. Military analyst Chris Cobb-Smith told CNN that the nature of the strike marks prove this wasn't a random shot. She was targeted. He said there was no chance that random firing would result in the 3 or 4 shots hitting in such a tight group from a distance of 200 meters. Multiple eyewitnesses said a sniper fired at them from a window in an IDF truck. The IDF's own body cam footage shared of the operation that morning shows the same military vehicles lined up on the street facing down towards Abu Akleh.
So there is that CNN report that Abby Martin was mentioning. So let's see more details of what was in that. So the CNN investigation that Abby Martin referenced concluded that, quote, there was no active combat nor any Palestinian militants near Abu Akleh in the moments leading up to her death. And that the evidence suggests that Abu Akleh was shot dead in a targeted attack by Israeli forces. CNN is not the only ones that are talking about this, because the Associated Press also carried out a reconstruction of her killing and reported that their findings led to support to assertions from both Palestinian authorities and Abu Akleh's colleagues that the bullet that cut her down came from an Israeli gun. Now, it was a bit of a bipartisan pushback also on Blinken, because Mitt Romney and Senator John Ossoff both wrote a letter looking for some justice in this. But also last week, another Palestinian journalist was also killed. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces shot and killed 31-year-old Palestinian journalist Gufran Harun Warzne Wednesday on the 1st, as she commuted to her new job at a radio station in the city of Hebron. The Israeli army claims that she was holding a knife, but eyewitnesses disputed the army's description of what happened. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry accused Israel of carrying out an execution. And also the Palestinian Red Crescent said that Israeli forces blocked the medics from taking her to safety and potential treatment for 20 minutes to trying to transfer to that hospital.
Well, to be fair, that sounds like American cops. Okay, so and that's part of the issue here. So Blinken is being disingenuous. So we're looking for a neutral party to do this investigation. Well, the Palestinian Authority, where she was killed, they have authority over that area, did the investigation. But Blinken is basically saying, come on, they're Palestinians. We're not going to trust them. Well, then why would you trust Israel? Good question. Then we say, okay, an independent body, no problem. This is exactly what the ICC is for, the International Criminal Court, because if an Israeli sniper killed a journalist doing nothing, that's a war crime. Okay, there are no militants in the area, as CNN and AP explain. So let's go to the ICC. Israel says, no, I didn't sign up for the International Criminal Court. Why? Because they violate international law all the time. So they're like, that court has no jurisdiction over us. Plus they say the Palestinians can't take us to that court because they don't have a state. Ha 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 ha. So you're denying them that state. So when they bring you to international criminal courts for killing journalists in that area, you go, well, ironically, you'll have no justice because we wouldn't let you be a state. How is that for insult to injury? So Blinken knows Israel won't go to the International Criminal Court. They won't do an independent investigation. What Israel says to the Palestinians is, why don't you turn over all the evidence to us and we'll do an investigation? Oh, right. And other times that evidence has been turned into Israel, sometimes it magically goes missing. And so the Palestinians are like, you want us to give you the bullet that killed her and just trust you on it. Absurd. And Blinken knows all this. He's covering for Israel because there's going to be no accountability, and Blinken himself is going to make sure that there's no accountability. Same thing for Saudi Arabia. So they killed Khashoggi. Biden talked a big game when he was running for office. And then now he's turned around and he's doing deals with the Saudis. There's no accountability at all. As long as you've got the right lobbyists in America, as long as you give us cheap oil, whatever it is that the powerful in this country want, you can kill any journalist you like, and Antony Blinken will cover up your crimes for you. Those are facts.
Let's go to graphic 6 because it leads to that point from Blinken. Because Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken said during an online event last week that Mr. Biden came into office intending to ensure that the US relationship with Saudi Arabia was serving our own interest as well as our values as we move forward, but also preserving it. Mr. Blinken added, because it also helps us accomplish many important things. That's a long way of saying what Donald Trump was saying when they didn't want to do anything about this, again, about Jamal Khashoggi. Not want to do anything about that because you know how much money they pay us? Do you know how much money they pay us? The difference is Donald Trump was doing it in a rough around the edges way because he has no idea what he's doing except for making that money. But it's the same, similar, I'll give him similar policy when it comes to that. Now let's look at these donor lists because this is where it all comes in. We talked before about donors and lobbying money and why it changes things when it comes to the gun control issue in America. It also does it when it comes to companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop, and General Dynamics, to the tune of those $6 million, over $6 million, nearly $6 million from Raytheon, just over $5 million from Northrop, and also General Dynamics around 3.3 million. That's what it is.
And why are those defense contractor numbers relevant to this question? Because those are the guys selling weapons to the Saudis. So as long as they're making billions from the Saudis, they're going to bring back 6 million, 3 million, 4 million to American politicians, and the American politicians are going to be like, oh, you murdered a journalist. On the other hand, I got a nice little bribe from Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin because they'd like to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, and so we're not going to block those sales. On Israel, Israel's got a better deal. We buy the weapons and we just hand it to Israel. Okay, so they get billions, but where does it come from? It comes from the same defense contractors. So defense contractors get super rich off of all this, and they tell their little boys like Biden and Blinken, hey, go cover for us, okay? Just tell them who cares. And guys, the second journalist killed that was just killed, a Palestinian, that's Israel saying, oh, you didn't like the first journalist we executed? Why don't we do it again? Because you're never gonna hold us accountable. We own the relationship with the defense contractors and hence all the politicians in America. And same thing with the Saudis. They laugh at us. Come on, Blinken boy, go tell lies for us. Go do it. And then that's called diplomacy. Okay, no, it's called a robbery.
I like the Subway sandwich analogy. I'm sorry, I use it all the time. If you work at Subway sandwiches, you get paid $9 an hour, and then the boss comes in and says, you know what, I'll give you $50 an hour if every time someone walks in and says, I'd like a cold cut trio, you go, we don't have any more bologna. Just, it's right there in front of us. But say it's not there or it's bad or something's wrong with it, I'll pay you much more money every time. Why would you not do that? He's the one who's paying you. In this case, these companies pay politicians not to represent the people, but to do what they tell them to do. And more money every time it works, but only if that owner gets a huge kickback of say $250 every hour that you turn down people that want that cold cut trio. You'll do it. So why not the tune of these hundreds of millions of dollars that they're giving? Because 118 million, over 118 million was used on lobbying just last year alone from these defense contractors.
So a super last thing, you can see from the story, the religion doesn't matter, the race doesn't matter, the color doesn't matter, okay? So it's Muslims in Saudi Arabia, happens to be Jewish folks in Israel, and most of the defense contractors are Christian, okay? But there's one color that matters, green. You pay us and we lie for you. So that's what you just saw Blinken do. They're never going to do a fair and independent investigation. There's going to be no consequences. Israel knows it, that's why they just murdered another journalist. And they'll murder another one. Why are they murdering journalists? To intimidate the rest of the journalists. Don't you dare cover our other war crimes, otherwise we'll execute you with snipers. And then we'll get the American government to rub it in your face and go, oh yeah, maybe we'll do it. An independent investigation later. Defense contractors, where's the money? Where's the money? Okay, so that's what you just saw, and great job by Abby Martin.
I was just gonna say, and think about how brave it is for Abby Martin to ask those questions as forcefully as she is.
And think about how the rest of the press corps never asked the most obvious questions. Like that was like, whoa, a moment of courage where someone asked a logical question. Shouldn't that kind of be the norm rather than a wild exception that leads to a major news story? News flash, reporter asks question. That's America for you. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.